Hello and welcome to Conscious Conversations. Make it plain. I am your host, Alfonso McGriff III. And tonight I have with me my man, Jay. Not H, not I, but Jay Stan McCauley, future mayor of Hartford, Connecticut, right?
That's right.
And we're going to talk about what's going on. And we're coming to you in black and white because we feeling artsy tonight. We got Jay Stan McCauley in the house. And we're going to do a little color, a little black and white. We're going to flip it and switch it for you. So I know some of y'all ain't seen a black and white TV in so long, you forgot TVs can be black and white. But anyway, tonight we're going to have Sir Jay Stan McCauley on, and we're going to talk about his campaign, his race, his desire to be mayor of Hartford, Connecticut, and that's what it's going to be about tonight. So Stan, man, open it up. Tell us what's flying through the brain. You know, I always have my questions, but I want to let you do your introduction and let people know who you are and what the deal is.
Well, you know, first, thanks for having me on in living color. The black and white TV, man, I remember black and white, high definition black and white television. But it's really good to be here, and as I like to say, Hartford is at a crossroads, and I believe that the people of Hartford, you know, really need to show out and come out and vote. Of course, I'd love for you to all vote for me, but you need to come out and vote no matter what. They're redistricting Hartford, you know. We only had like 17% turnout in the primary election, which means that when they recut the districts for our representation, Hartford's going to take a real big bite in terms of losing voting power. And that's not going to be good. So it's going to be very, very important that people come out on November the 8th and cast a vote so that your vote actually matters and counts. Now, who you vote for, of course, is very, very important. And the only way to make sure you know who you're voting for is to go to their websites and see what they stand for. Ask the tough questions of all the candidates. Attend the forums that are going to be happening all over the city in the next 4 weeks for mayor and also for your city council people, so that you can be well informed and make the right decision based on the right information, not a 30-second sound bite, because of course you deserve more than a 30-second sound bite and fancy, you know, clips and, you know, things that people like to throw out there. I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that I am the best and most qualified candidate to be the leader of the city of Hartford, because Hartford needs leadership that actually represents the people of Hartford and has a way of touching the bases with the people that matter most, which in my opinion is you all out there.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to say, you know, I want to say to the people, because there are people out here that know that I'm not a voter. I'm not a person that gets involved into the political process. But at the same time, for those of you who might seem like there's like this hypocrisy going on or whatever, the way it is the way I see it is this. You know, we all have our ideas of what's best and how we can go about making a difference, you know, in our personal lives and in the lives of people around us, and in some cases in whole states and countries and on the whole planet. And we all have our approaches to making that happen. And because I'm not a voting person doesn't mean that I don't have a desire to support people who feel that that process, working and operating within that process, they can make things happen. So because I think there's more than one way to make things happen, good things happen. And my man Jay Stan McCauley has chosen the political route at this time, and he's going to be the next mayor, and I'm supporting him. I can't go out there and vote for him, but I'm supporting him. And I think that we all should be comfortable in doing what we think we can do to make a difference. Having him on this program, to me, is one of the things that I think can help make a difference. So I'm doing what I think I can do to help make a difference, and Jay Stan McCauley is doing the same thing on his part. So it's really not a conflict of interest. It's really not a hypocritical situation as much as it is I'm supporting him in the way that I think I can support him. And I'm encouraging those that participate in the voting process to also support J. Stan McCauley. So now, back to J. Stan, what I want to ask you today, my first question, the first question I want to ask you is, why do you think you should be mayor?
Well, I think I should be mayor because I have a vision and a plan for Hartford. And I think a lot of people have visions for Hartford, but I don't think they have a plan for Hartford. And, you know, a vision is just an analysis of, you know, what's wrong. All right. If you got a flat tire on your car, then the vision should be a way to get it fixed. Now, the people may argue over what to do about changing it, but there really shouldn't be that big a gap in terms of what needs to be done. The only way you can have a vision for Hartford is to get out there and talk to the people of Hartford. Hartford's the fourth poorest city in the United States per capita. And as such, we have entrenched poverty here. I want to make a change in that. I don't believe that the current powers to be see the poverty as a problem because they're profiting off of the poverty. And until we get someone in a position of power who can bring resources to bear to push that poverty back, things are not going to change in Hartford. I've spent a lot of time reaching out to people and being a free speech advocate and trying to get things changed, but I have learned that in my 20 years of doing that, talk at the end of the day is great and it's good conversation, but it doesn't affect policy. And so that's why I decided I would get involved in the political thing. And in Hartford, the mayor has a substantial amount of power. And there are resources, there are monies that come to Hartford, whether they're state monies, whether they're federal monies, whether they're grants and you know, all kinds of other things, that if those monies were used properly, with a lot less corruption, a little more honesty, changes could come to the parts of Hartford that are suffering the most. I make no apologies about it. I believe that the area of the city that needs the most help is North Hartford. Not because Black, brown, and Latino people live in North Hartford, but because it is the area of the city that is impacted by poverty the most. Now, I'm the only candidate that has a plan to push back the poverty here in Hartford. Hartford's small enough that you can have an effect on it. So as it relates to Hartford and my vision, there is no other candidate that wants to do that.
Okay, you have a vision, you have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to politicians a lot of times and they talk about visions and plans.
Mm-hmm.
And what they want to do, and it's something that happens even with the President of the United States. When they get in office, it's almost like it's a whole new meeting that takes place. And they kind of find out the thought process they had before they got in there needs to be adjusted once they're in the place.
Mm-hmm.
So with that thought in mind, what specifically are you gonna do that's different than what pretty much everyone else has done? You know, because they all go in there saying what they're gonna do for Hartford. And you know, during the reign, since I've been paying attention to politics, during the reigns of the various mayors, it's like people have just been fighting to get them out once they get in.
Mm-hmm.
So what specifically is going to be different about your approach and what you're going to do when you get in there so that people don't end up feeling the same way. Now Stan's in there, and they're just fighting to get you out because they're not seeing what you talked about, or they're seeing the same old as it relates to what's been going on in the past. So, you know, what are you going to do that's different? How are you going to be different?
I think that once you win office, you become, for many, public enemy number one. I mean, you know, you're the new lying, corrupt, cheating, backstabbing politician, scumbag. And so how can we get him out? Then you've got that other group of folks who, you know, been doing real good. Hands been washed on both sides by all the corruption. And the contracts flow their way. The little this, that, and other thing flows their way. And they see you perhaps as a threat to that status quo. To me, the position is one of managing the resources of the city and the tax dollars that come in. And how can we fairly and equitably distribute those resources where they're needed and take care of the business of the city while growing the city's tax base or grand list. And the thing that makes me a lot different than some of the other candidates is that, of course, from the onset and in many circles to this very minute, all the powers to be say I can't win. So I don't owe them anything. No one particular group of people got me in. This black local leader didn't get me in. This Italian leader didn't get me in. The governor didn't come down from on high during the middle of a legislative emergency session to anoint and appoint me so that I could get in. All of the black gatekeepers that have been holding the city back didn't give me their permission to run so that I could get in. What happens is these people put you in. And the way politics is no different than being a quarterback on a Super Bowl team. You were playing for the Steelers, now you're playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. You do what the coach tells you and all of that apparatus. The people have never had a candidate. And that's why people's candidates are few and far between. You get one every 30 to 40 years, and they usually try and do something to neutralize that person. It's a very dangerous game, the political game. But someone has to do it, and you have to do it by leading by example. And so when you step out there and you now are a candidate for the people now have someone in the game who's going to champion their cause because the people got you there. Now, the people get everyone in, but few and far between is the elected official whose intention is to empower the people. It's the people's government, in theory, of the people, by the people, for the people. What Hartford has not had is someone who is fighting for their interests in the mayor's office. Cheshire has people who hold their elected officials accountable. They rally at their city halls, at their Board of Ed meetings, at the PTO meetings, and they'll go up on the Capitol Hill and fight for things. We have had elected officials who go up there, but then they don't represent us. They generally sell us out. I am not one of those people who will do that, and that's what's going to be so different. I think the frank conversations that I've had heretofore show that, and then I have 20-year history of whatever I can do to help people move their message forward, get their agendas forward, because I see myself as an agent to help them do what they need to do. I'm not in this for power. I'm not trying to step up to become the next congressional leader or Senate leader or things like that. I want to be a mayor of a town that runs well and whose people are well served by the leader.
Well, I can say I can see a microcosm of that when you were running this station, because I remember when I first came on, it was a lot of controversy because I'm not necessarily a religious person, and a lot of my subject matter didn't have a lot to do with religion. And then when I did talk about religion, I had a lot of questions, and it didn't come off in a favorable way towards religious people. So this station received calls from the mayor's office and from City Hall and from all of these people who were trying to have me removed from the air. And you know, I remember you basically telling them this is why the station's here, you know. And the interesting thing is there were so many people that came on to do shows after that because their attitude was, wow, if he could come on and get away with that and talk about what he wants to talk about that open and freely, then okay, well, I think I might want to do something. So, you know, you have always been, from what I see, and that's why I had you on today, there for the people, representing the people in a non-prejudicial way, independent of how contradictory their views are to yours or how different their thought process is than yours. That has never been something that kept you from the greater cause of doing what's fair and what's right. So, you know, that's my personal experience. Now, the next question I have is, I really believe that most people that run for office always have like this first thing. It's almost like, you know, I tell people I'm retarded in the car department. You know, all my life I've had old raggedy cars that once I bought them, I was fixing it until it died. And then I got another one I fixed till it died. And that's how I've always had. So I always say, if I hit the lottery, I'm just going to go to the car lot and buy 3 brand new cars. I won't even have a place to park them. Just that's my retardation area. So as a political person, I'm thinking that you have the same thing, not so much what it call a retardation area, but like soon as you get in office, like the first thing you're gonna do. What's like the first thing on your agenda, you know, soon as you get in office?
The very first thing I'm going to do, which I have said time and time again, I mentioned this on Dennis House's program, Face the State, back in April or May, which is one reason why a lot of people don't want to see me in office. And that's everybody that serves at the pleasure of the mayor need to look for another job. The first thing I do is receive resignations from the people who have yet to find a job between November 9th and the inauguration. That doesn't mean we're going to leave the city dysfunctional. Anybody that believes that the current crop of managers in Hartford are necessary for Hartford's survival is on crack, because there are other people that can do their job, as in every case. I mean, to think that there's someone that couldn't do the job they do would be like me thinking that no one else could run the station. Clearly that is not the case. And so what would happen to them if they suddenly were incapacitated? Would the city stop functioning? Of course not. President gets elected. That whole staff of the former administration leaves. The governor gets elected. Whole former administration staff leaves. Mayor gets elected. We got to keep the same incompetent staff to run the city into the ground. So I am, as they may say, hell-bent on making sure that there's effective, accountable, municipal managers who have gotten a hold of the greater vision, and that is why they serve at the pleasure of the mayor. So that's the first thing I do, is to get the House of Hartford in order at 550 Main Street.
Okay, so now I have a couple of questions about specific things. The first, I'm just going to throw some words at you, and then you deal with them how you choose.
All right.
Okay. First word I'm going to throw at you is education.
Education. In my never to be humble opinion, I'm not an educator. human beings are born to learn. They are natural learners. If you take someone and drop them in a foreign country, within 3 to 6 months, they will learn the language as a survival mechanism in order to communicate. There is nothing that you can't learn if people will get out of the way of the learning process. I believe that though we have good teachers, we don't have gifted teachers. Teaching is a calling. And there are lots of people within our society that teach. I think that education is the key to success. But when it comes to educating young people, you have to meet them at their level to impart needed information unto them. I see education as a how shall we say, like the military-industrial complex, or the prison-industrial complex, or the social service industrial complex. It's how can we maximize profits off of imparting information. And as such, the educational process has become an employment opportunity for adults and less one of teaching young people. I am certain that the young people of Hartford have all that it takes to learn, and I would challenge the notion that the impact of poverty on our children is far less than the impact of slavery being brought to the United States under duress, and the survivors of the voyage make it and can learn how to read, write, invent, rise to greatness. I would say the conditions at that time were worse than now. So something is profoundly wrong if you cannot educate inner city children. My thinking would be that there's no desire to educate inner city children.
I can dig it. My next word, crime.
Crime, first thing that comes to mind is on my way over here from my house on Enfield Street. I saw police cars. I came down Garden, so when I got down the Garden, I looked up the street, and up there on the corner of Mall Avenue and Enfield was some activity. Crime as it relates to Hartford basically is the underground economy in full effect, drug trade. And if you can provide significant jobs, you could push back the need for people to be active in the underground economy. You're always going to have some people who think that they can game the system and choose a life of crime. Of course, as free will agents, you could choose whatever you want. But I think there are a lot of people out there that are involved in the drug game as a means to make money because it is a viable means of making money for some. We can reduce crime in Hartford significantly, significantly. We have a plan to do so. We've talked to the right people. All we need is the opportunity to do it. And crime is on both sides of the ledger there. You've got some corrupt police officers helping to precipitate this whole culture of crime.
My next word, this one's a little to the left. Women.
Women. Women are necessary to bring life. Without women, life cannot be. Therefore, women are part of the process to giving birth to ideas. I believe that behind every man there's a great woman. Sometimes behind every man is the wrong woman, and that's why his life kind of get messed up. But if you get the right woman, she acts as a completer. As it relates to Hartford, it is an extremely offensive and insult that the Democratic Party didn't see fit to nominate a single female in a city that is mostly single head of household women. I like women.
I can dig
But
it.
I love my wife.
I can dig it. I can dig it. Okay, and this is the last word I'm going to give you before we start taking calls. Small businesses. Small businesses.
Small business, it's often said that small business is the backbone of America. I think that small businesses are essential. To a certain degree, everybody could have their own small business. If we spent the enormous sums of money that we spend giving to major corporations, if we took a portion of that and invested it in individuals who have entrepreneurial or small business ideas, we as a country would be far, far more on a solid base than we are now economically. Small businesses are, I mean, if you want to look at economic development, invest in small business, because small businesses are usually closer to the ground. They have an analysis of what the needs are. The individual's willing to take a risk and put time, energy, and financial resources into an idea that they have and turn that idea into an avenue that can generate income for that individual. So, you know, I believe that small businesses need to be allowed to flourish and grow. And I think that they need to have a level playing field as opposed to one that hinders their growth and existence because people don't like to be, they don't like to have to be competitive. I think competition is good, and you know, Hartford's easier to start a 501c3 than it is to start a small business because nonprofits are just that, nonprofit, non-competition. And so if you really want to energize the United States, if you really want to energize Hartford, I believe that it's to the city's grand list best advantage to invest in small businesses.
I can dig it. We're going to open the lines, take some calls. 860-524-8920, 860-524-8920. And while we wait for a call, I'm going to piggyback on small businesses, say unemployment.
Unemployment, we have record high unemployment in Hartford, particularly in North Hartford. And it is that unemployment that fuels the crime. It is the pressure of that unemployment that helps continue the poverty, which puts pressure on what you talked about a little bit earlier, education. There is one way to really push all of that back, and that's with jobs.
I can dig it. We have a caller. Yes, caller. Make it plain.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, speaking of Hartford problems started a long time ago, way back into the 60s, maybe even farther back than that. But what I look at Hartford and I see a lot of problems that can be, or should I say, solvable, but we need good leadership. The first thing Hartford needs is to rethink its position. And for us as people of color, African Americans, we have to, it is mandatory, it's imperative that we think differently. We have to start thinking differently about our community, about our schools, about our leaders, about government, because right now we have not changed significantly in the last 35 years, and it has to do with the way you think. We have to understand that to generate wealth, you need planning, you need due diligence, and you need execution. And listening to you speak as a candidate for mayor made a lot of sense, but I've heard it before.
Well, I agree with what you said. No doubt you've heard it before, because what I am saying It's what's necessary. The difference between me and those that you've heard it from before is that I'm a person of execution. I don't say stuff that I don't mean. I try not to mince words, and I try to be as transparent as possible. What you're talking about is absolutely right. Until you change the mindset or rescue the minds of those that are out there, it's very difficult to bring about change. One of the things that's quietly kept that feeds into the problems we have in Hartford is Hartford's poverty rate. Hartford, being the fourth poorest city in the United States, is a problem politically because, generally speaking, those impacted by poverty at the level that Hartford's residents are look to government to take care of certain social issues as opposed to taking the lead. And therefore, they're less likely to hold accountable those in power because if they do that, there can be punitive repercussions for speaking out against those in leadership. That mindset has to change. We've already started that mindset. This is the end of a 4-year strategic plan. This run of mine for mayor is the end of a 4-year strategic plan. There are many who think that I don't have a chance of winning. I would contend that there are many who are going to be in for a big surprise because we have started that educational process, and it's been a 4-year educational process, and it's being kept quite quiet, but the theory on my part will play out November the 8th. Either what I'm doing is right and will work, or it won't. The test for it is November the 8th. If people come out and vote, then we know that there has been an effect on people to cause them to act in their own best interest and vote for me as the mayor so that we can then begin to turn the city around. Because as goes North Hartford, so goes Hartford, and as goes Hartford, so goes the region. I just have a different fix than the current administration vis-a-vis through the governors I won't say interference, but through the governor's influence on the political process here. What I'm saying is not news or rocket science. He's more than well aware of it. But how does he, as somebody who needs Hartford to function properly, usurp and impose leadership? They do it through a cabal. You get Pedro in, they make him a judge, then you make Sean the new mayor. Now, those kinds of antics are childish, they're immature, and they do a disservice to democracy. They don't move the democratic process forward. It continues the backroom dealing, the backroom wheeling, and it undermines the very people that actually need the help. No other politician is going to talk to you as plainly as I do, naming names and things like that, because they're afraid someone might come around and slap their hand or slap them on the back of the head or take their little piece of cheese away at their little corporate job. I'm not affected by that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good speech. But go back to small businesses that I don't see any African American businesses downtown. I do know of one on Trumbull Street. That's Smith Wiley, and that's a private equity firm that Gwendolyn Smith owns and operates, and she's always in BET magazine, and she's doing a very good job. And I noticed that black people downtown Hartford, they should I say, walking around in space. You look at them, you don't see any positive look on their face. You don't see any rush to change their way of living. And what you see, a lot of Asians and Pakistanis and Indians downtown with their laptops and their T-shirts and their pants and shirts.
I lost them. Well, nonetheless, to address what you were saying, I think your observation is obvious and accurate one, but I think it leaves out a lot of things. When you talk about people who come to this country from foreign countries, if you go back to their country, the same kinds of folk that you may see in a depressed state here are there. But when the cream of the crop have the resources to leave a country and come to the United States or have sponsorship, they have somewhat of an advantage. And by the very nature of their desire to make for better and leave their own country to do so, they come here with a no holds bar, all in, must achieve. There are plenty of folks of color that have that attitude. You may not see them in what is quickly becoming a Cape Town, downtown Hartford, but they're out there, and if given the opportunity, if the playing field was leveled, I think that you would start to you'd start to see an emergence of small black businesses.
Yes, caller, make it plain.
Hello, hello.
Yes, caller.
Okay. This question is for J.C. McCauley. I have watched you change from, I think it's Pastor Stan to Mayor J.C. McCauley. How have the political arena, I have a two-part question if you allow me. How have the political arena changed your viewpoint as a religion versus political? And my second question is the economics in Hartford is very difficult. Everyone's hurting in Hartford. Are you a positive role model for what is expected of our chief of staff of the capital city of Hartford? And those are my two questions.
Okay. I'll start from the last question and work my way to the first. Do I understand the question correctly when you say, am I a positive role model for the Chief of Staff?
When I said, are you a positive role model, if you want me to explain what I'm talking about, because...
Lost her. Okay, well, she can call back.
I think she meant as the Chief of Staff, like as the mayor. Are you a positive role model?
I have a very interesting work theory. You know, I believe, and everyone that's ever been in my employ has heard this, I'm the one charged with doing the work. I can't do it all, so I have to get people to help me. The Chief of Staff works at the pleasure of the mayor, and he will execute what I do. I will be a great role model for everyone that's in my employ, because I lead through example. Having said that, I'm not looking to be the Chief of Staff's role model. I expect the Chief of Staff to do his job, or he's going to go find someplace else to work. I mean, you know, he does not run me. I am the chief elected official to represent the citizens of the city. In my ideal Chief of Staff would be an administrator of a major metropolitan airport, like O'Hare International, Philadelphia International. A major international airport chief administrator would make my perfect Chief of Staff, or someone who has run a military base. I mean, I want people who know what they're doing and are task-oriented and a little less involved or let me rephrase that, a little less inclined to allow politics to govern their decision. Both of the individuals I mentioned are very familiar with politics. You can't rise to the level of base commander without being somewhat political. You most certainly don't become the chief administrator of a major metropolitan airport without having some political savvy. There's a difference between political savvy and being hamstrung by small town politics. And Hartford is a small town, make no mistake about it. Our office park is just downtown. Sometimes there's some delusion of grandeur with people who think that because there's how shall we say this tactfully, because we have the illusion of a metropolis, that we're somehow New York City. Nothing would be further from the truth. We're a small town politic arena to the degree that you have local leaders in all sectors and all communities get on the phone and cause a ship to change left, right, just because they made a phone call. Not because it's the right thing to do, but because so-and-so called. And those kinds of things have to stop. And they'll only stop when you have leadership who can be dedicated to the cause of the people and not the political powers that put them into play. The other question that you asked first about the politics versus the religion, You know, once you get involved in the political arena and can see how things work a little bit better, it changes things tremendously. When I first started this off in 2007, it's probably best, most certainly, that I did not win. I was nowhere near prepared. But in the last 4 years, we've learned an awful lot, we've seen an awful lot, we've met an awful lot of people, and you get to see underneath the rug and see where the pitfalls are, and you start peeling back the varnish, and you get underneath, and you can see that the house looks nice, but you rip off that aluminum siding, and it's infested with termites and all kinds of water damage. And that's what we have with Hartford politics. We have the illusion of governance. We have the illusion of choice. That illusion of choice has been so diminished now that you have the same choice for both Republican and Democratic leader. I mean, it's absurd at best. It's an insult at worst. I don't even know what to say of this stuff now. But if Hartford votes for the status quo, I firmly believe at that point that this is what Hartford has chosen. I mean, they're good with it. And my religious foundation gives me enough of enough self-confidence to know that besides he who sits above, I fear no other and answer to no other. So therefore, I'm not intimidated or pushed back by idle threats or powers to be, you know, the 5 families of Hartford, or, you know, people can get upset because you're messing with the toilet paper money and all this other stuff that seem to keep people of our ethnic background shucking and jiving. And it's time out for that if we want Hartford to move forward. And I'm here to make that difference. And come November the 9th, that difference will begin.
Yes, caller, make it plain.
Hello?
Yes, caller.
Yeah, Hotep. What is the gentleman running as? Is a Democrat or Republican?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm running as a petitioning candidate. The Republican and Democratic nominee, the Democratic nominee is Pedro Segarra, and he is also the endorsed candidate for the Republican Party. So he appears as the Republican and the Democrat on the ballot.
So are you, before running, are you a Democrat or Republican? That's what I'm wondering.
I am a member of the Democratic Party.
Well, see, here's the problem that the people have. I know. We have a saying in Harlem, it all starts young, politicians, Democrat, Republican. But it's a profession that's lined with the slight hand of thievery, double talk, hypocrisy, and downright banditry. It's the feeling of a snake oil salesman. See, both parties are the same and crooked. Republicans do the bank job, the Democrats drive the getaway car.
Right.
Why can't you do like Brother Malcolm said during the '64 when he said we could run as independents, running a proportional representation? See,
I am running as an independent.
Right, but you're still a Democrat because you couldn't get the line. See,
I purposely, I mean, when I bought time on WKND and have said this over and over again, and it's on my website, I purposely did not seek the Democratic nomination because I did not want to represent the Democratic Party. I was once a representative of the Republican Party, and I did that because people told me you'll never get the Republican nominee. So I went after it and I got it. All right. Both parties are as corrupt as they come.
But you just said, brother, you are a Democrat. This is what you said.
I am a Democrat because I'm a member of the Democratic Party, but
That's the problem with the people see. See, both parties. We need to go to a party proportional representation. See, the problem is both parties. Remember, Obama got his throat cut by his own Democratic Party.
I understand that we're not talking about President of the United States.
Right, but the party is the politics are the same, my brother. See, the late Gore Vidal said this. He said that basically politics is a Greek word. Politics means many, ticks meaning bloodsuckers. So I got a problem with people that cross lines. Either you come, when I ran for office, I'm a straight up independent. Straight up independent. I don't fool with either party.
Did you win?
The allegiance got to be the one, not the other.
Did you win?
Oh, yes, I did.
All right, so you ran for office in what town?
This is when I lived in New York. I ran as an independent.
All right.
And I ran.
The political, okay, So then you understand the political game. I'm running for office in Hartford. Hartford is the single most democratic city in the United States, the first district. This is the land of Bailey. If you want to make any kind of impact, either policy or execution, as the executive, it has to be in the framework of the Democratic Party.
So then you become an allegiance to the Democratic Party, brother.
Just give me 30 seconds.
I'm giving you 30 seconds. I can answer that.
Give me 30 seconds and then I'll be quiet. The plan here was to present myself as a candidate to the Democratic Party. I was rejected. And I don't have a problem with that. I knew I was going to be rejected. Okay. I'm running independent. And when people ask me, are you a Democrat? I says, I am a citizen who wants to represent the people. I'm not interested in representing the Democratic Party, which is what would have happened if I would have been the nominee, because the party, in theory, represents the people, and then the mayor or the elected officials represent the party. They are both crooked, stealing, and raping and robbing blind. I want to represent the people, as I said at the beginning of the program. I am the people's candidate. That's the most dangerous type of politics you can be engaged in. So I know you and I are right here. I understand what you're saying. Having said that, we still have to play within a certain set of rules. You may play as an independent agent, but you're still playing football. And so there are some rules in the game that can't be bent or broken. We have bent and broken as many of the rules as we can. We're on the ballot. We're running as an independent who will be elected by the people, and as such, going into office with no political baggage and things holding us back. That's our plan. And I have no problem saying it openly with 4 weeks away from the election.
But the master plan could be that we should form our own party to run.
Well, I don't have a problem with that, but that master plan ain't going to happen in the next 4 weeks.
But you know what? That's the problem with politics. It should have been planned maybe 4 years back. You see, you got to remember, this country was built without a party.
Then I say, be the change you want to be. I stepped up to the plate, like Brother Alfonso said. He doesn't vote, he doesn't get involved, but he's doing what he can. All right, so who's going to start it? Let's start it. Talk is cheap. I spent 25 years on this station talking about what needs to be changed. It's time for someone to step up. If we need to start our own party, then let's start it.
Both parties have failed the American people. Look, give you an example. Look at Hartford. Hartford right now.
Hold on for a second. Hold on. I think you make a good point, and I understand where you're coming from. But I'm not a political person, but I'm looking at the person. And I'm understanding what the person is saying. I'm understanding what the person is saying as it relates to how he's going to represent himself in the office. If we're going to like right now, there's an impasse because he's identified himself as a Democrat. So what I'm hearing is that has totally locked you up. And that is a big deal. And what I'm saying is, I'm listening to what the person is saying. I'm understanding what the person is saying as it relates to what this person is saying, how he's going to represent himself. And that means a lot more to me than whether he's a Green Tick Party, Tea Party, Democrat, Republican, whatever you want to call it. We still have to, we have to recognize the human being as well, as opposed to just simply get caught up in the technicalities of the words and the titles, because we can go back and forth about words and titles all day.
Yeah, look at these parties. The two-party system has failed people of color in this country.
But see, I don't see him as a two-party system. I see him as J. Stan McCauley, and I see him as a person who's going to represent and serve the people.
Well, let me ask this question real quick. If he would have got the nomination of the Democratic Party, would you have ran as a Democrat?
If they would have nominated me?
Yeah, if the Democratic Party would have nominated him as a candidate, would he have ran as a Democrat? That's my question.
If the Democratic Party would have nominated me, it would mean that they have arrived in their minds have been set free. It was impossible that they would have nominated me.
No, but I'm saying
Had they nominated me, then
Yeah.
I would have run under the Democratic ticket.
So you'd have been controlled by the Democratic Party. You'd have to go by their rules.
I have
what
been
leverage comes
as
from.
Hold on. Wait a minute. My brother, I'm going to thank you for the call. We just got a few more minutes, and I want to
All right.
let somebody else call.
I'll
okay?
listen.
But I really understand your point. But you're involved in the technical game is what I'm seeing here. And it's not, I'm saying there's a way to see beyond the technical aspect of Democrat, Republican, tea, independent, coffee, whatever. I'm saying that there's a human being sitting here saying that how he's going to represent the office. And if we can't see the human being, what the hell difference does it make what party it's about? To me, the human being is a whole lot more important than the party. He's not representing the Kemet party or the ancient Nubian party, which is what's important. It's a big deal to me, but he's still a human being and a person who's representing himself and talking about how he's going to represent himself in the office. We only have a few minutes left. Stan, we got 2 minutes left.
All right.
So I want you to take us out of here with this last 2 minutes.
Well, we'll springboard off of what my man said in the end, you know, and what you said, which is actually, we need to bottle up that phrase. At the end of the day, it comes down to the character of the individual who you're putting into office. Which when we came on the air and started off saying, you know, you deserve more than a 30-second soundbite, you really need to sit down and get to know the people who are working with you and for you. And the only way that happens is to have extended conversations. I've been having an extended conversation with you, Hartford, for more than 20 years. What I'm saying here is nothing new. This is how I have presented myself and the things that I've said on a nightly television program here for 20 years. You need to know that the people you vote for aren't going to flip on you once they get into office. I think that I've made that perfectly clear. So on November the 8th, you have a decision to make. McCauleyformayor.com. Check us out. My personal cell phone number is 944-9797, 860-944-9797. If you hear anybody say something about me, call me personally and ask me if it's true, and we can talk about it.
I can dig it. Well, that's what it's all about. This is Alphonso McGriff III. This is Make It Plain, hanging out with J. Stan McCauley, Hartford's future mayor. And I say those of you who vote and you want to see something different, go out and make sure you vote for J. Stan McCauley. Make it happen. And y'all have a wonderful, see y'all next week. Peace. We out.